Ethan had always been a quiet man. In the bustling human colony on the distant planet of Viridia, he preferred to work behind the scenes, fixing machines, improving energy nodes, and solving technical problems that no one else wanted to touch. The colony was small but alive, a mixture of human ingenuity and alien wonder. Towering crystal-like buildings reflected the twin suns, and glowing alien flora painted the nights with soft, radiant colors. From the first day Ethan arrived, he noticed her. Lyria. She was a young alien diplomat, sent from the core worlds to observe human colonies and guide them in their early interactions with alien civilizations. She was unlike anyone he had ever met. Her skin shimmered faintly under the light like moonlight on water, and her eyes were deep pools of silver that seemed to see more than people realized. She moved gracefully, her presence calm but commanding, and she always seemed to notice small details others missed. Ethan never spoke to her beyond polite greetings. He admired her from afar, his feelings a quiet thought he carried in private. He imagined small things, sharing meals, talking late into the night, maybe even one day walking side by side in the colony's glowing gardens. These were dreams he did not dare voice, not even to himself most of the time. But the thought of her brought warmth to his long, lonely hours in the workshops. One day, the colony announced a formal reception to celebrate the completion of a new energy grid that Ethan had helped design. Humans and aliens would mingle, discuss progress, and share knowledge. Ethan's colleagues were excited, but he felt a familiar nervousness. He would see Lyria there, and although he wanted to remain professional, his heart skipped at the thought. The reception hall was a stunning structure. Tall glass walls offered a panoramic view of the alien forests outside. Floating lanterns emitted soft golden light, while small drones hovered gracefully, serving drinks and refreshments. Ethan quietly moved among the guests, offering technical advice when asked, but keeping his distance from Lyria. Then, the unexpected happened. A small device that Lyria carried, a translator and communication interface, began to spark. She looked frustrated, her hands hovering over the controls. Ethan, noticing the problem, stepped forward.
"May I help?"
he asked gently. Lyria glanced at him, her silver eyes curious. "If you can, yes. I cannot understand why it fails now." Ethan knelt beside her device, examining it carefully. "It's a minor calibration issue. I can fix it in a few minutes." His hands moved with confidence, adjusting delicate wires and realigning sensors. He spoke softly, explaining each step. Lyria watched him, fascinated by his precision and calm demeanor. When the device hummed back to life, Lyria looked at him with genuine gratitude. "You are skilled, human. I did not expect such knowledge." Ethan felt a warmth rise in his chest. "It's what I do," he said, brushing it off, though his heart was racing. "I just hope it helps." She smiled, a small radiant smile that made Ethan's quiet thoughts grow louder. For a moment the crowd around them seemed to fade, leaving only the two of them. Ethan's mind wandered to his private wish, the thought he had buried deep inside. "I wish I could marry her. I wish she could be mine." The thought was fleeting, impossible, and utterly private. He dared not speak it, but as he looked at her, he whispered softly, almost to himself, "I've always wished. Maybe somehow this could be real." Lyria's eyes lingered on him a moment longer than necessary. He thought she had not heard, but there was a glint in her eyes, a spark of understanding or perhaps curiosity. She did not comment, only smiled politely and adjusted her device. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of conversation, polite laughter, and the clinking of glasses. Ethan found himself distracted, glancing at Lyria as she spoke with other diplomats, her movements fluid and elegant. Every so often their eyes met, and Ethan felt a shiver of connection, as if she could read some of the thoughts he never spoke aloud. Later, as the reception was winding down, Ethan helped with some minor technical checks in the hall. Lyria approached him, her steps light, almost floating. "You have a unique way of observing," she said quietly. "I notice things you humans may not realize." Ethan felt a blush he could not hide. "I just pay attention," he replied. "It helps to understand things and people too, I guess." She tilted her head slightly, studying him. "You are different from the others. Most humans are loud, eager to prove themselves. You watch and learn." Ethan smiled softly, unsure if he was being complimented. "I guess I prefer quiet," he admitted. "It makes small moments stand out more." A pause lingered between them, filled with unspoken thoughts. Ethan's private wish, the impossible idea he had never dared voice in full, seemed to hover in the air between them. He felt a strange courage rising, a small hope that perhaps the universe had room for such thoughts. Lyria finally spoke, her voice a gentle murmur. "Your quiet nature. It suits you. It is unusual among humans, but I find it interesting." Ethan's heart beat faster. He wanted to say more, to tell her everything he had imagined, but he only nodded, careful not to reveal too much. Some wishes, he thought, were too fragile to speak aloud. As the crowd thinned and the stars outside grew brighter, Ethan and Lyria walked together briefly along the observation balcony. The twin suns had set, leaving streaks of violet and gold in the sky. The alien trees below glowed softly, and small streams reflected the light like liquid silver. Ethan dared one last thought, whispered so quietly even he barely acknowledged it. If only she could feel the same. Lyria stopped at the edge of the balcony, turning to look at him. The soft bioluminescence of her skin made her seem otherworldly, almost ethereal. She smiled, a faint but sincere smile, and said, "Thank you, Ethan, for everything today." He nodded, his heart full, but he knew the words did not reveal the full depth of his feelings. He watched as she walked away, disappearing into the crowd of diplomats. That night, Ethan lay in his small quarters, staring at the ceiling. The colony was quiet except for the soft hum of energy conduits. He thought about the evening, the shared glances, the small smiles, the way she had looked at him. His private wish, once a fleeting thought, felt closer somehow, more real, though still fragile. Ethan knew that nothing had changed outwardly. Lyria had not said yes to him. She had only shown interest in his presence, in his mind, in his quiet ways. But that spark, that small moment of connection was enough to make him believe that perhaps one day, impossible wishes could become reality. And for the first time in a long while, Ethan allowed himself to imagine a future. A future where he and Lyria could work together, learn together, maybe even laugh together under the alien stars. His private wish, the one he had thought was just a dream, now had a small flame of hope lighting it from within. Ethan closed his eyes, letting the quiet settle over him. Somewhere in the colony, Lyria was thinking too, perhaps of him, perhaps of the day to come. And for now that thought, that quiet connection, was enough to keep his heart alive. The stars outside the window twinkled like distant promises, and Ethan, for the first time, felt that perhaps wishes whispered quietly in the heart could travel farther than anyone imagined. The days after the reception passed quickly, but Ethan could not shake the memory of Lyria's smile. Every morning he would wake in his small quarters, look at the glowing alien forest through the window, and think of her. He kept himself busy with his engineering tasks, repairing energy nodes, recalibrating communication arrays, and ensuring the colony ran smoothly. Yet no amount of work could erase the spark she had left in his heart. He noticed Lyria more and more during his daily routines. Sometimes she would observe him while discussing colony progress with other diplomats. Other times, she appeared beside him unexpectedly, offering insights about alien technologies or simply sharing quiet moments as they walked along the glowing pathways of the colony. Ethan tried to act natural, but each encounter sent his mind racing. One afternoon, a minor crisis drew them together. A sudden surge in the energy grid caused several nodes to fail, threatening the colony's lighting system. The glowing forests outside began to dim, and small panic rippled among the humans and aliens. Ethan was already on his way to the control center when he heard Lyria's voice calling him. "Ethan!" This way. He turned to see her at the edge of the plaza, pointing toward the malfunctioning nodes. Without hesitation, he followed. She moved with grace and efficiency, guiding him to areas that required immediate attention. Together they climbed narrow catwalks, recalibrated sensors, and adjusted energy conduits. Lyria's hands glowed faintly as she interfaced with alien technology, complementing Ethan's technical skills perfectly. During the work, Ethan realized something remarkable. Lyria was not just a diplomat. She understood the colony's systems intuitively. She suggested solutions he had not considered, and her calm focus eased the tension. For the first time, he felt like they were a team, two beings from different worlds working together for a common purpose. After hours of effort, the energy nodes stabilized, and the colony lights returned. Citizens cheered softly, Relieved to see the luminous forests alive again, Ethan and Lyria stood together catching their breath, their faces lit by the restored glow of the alien flora. "You were amazing," Ethan said, genuinely impressed. "I could not have fixed this without you." Lyria's silver eyes met his. "You were brave too. You did not hesitate when everything seemed to fail. I like that about humans, especially you." Ethan felt his heart skip. Thank you. That means a lot coming from you." They walked back together, the forest lighting their path. For a moment, no words were needed. Ethan wanted to speak, to tell her how he felt, but the right words seemed to vanish the moment he opened his mouth. Days later, Ethan found himself on the observation deck again, staring at the twin moons that hung over the alien horizon. Lyria appeared quietly beside him, holding a small device that glowed softly. "You spend too much time alone," she said, her voice calm but teasing. "I like observing," Ethan replied. "It helps me understand things." "People too." Lyria tilted her head, watching him carefully. "You observe me often." "I notice." Ethan's stomach tightened. He had hoped she would notice, yet hearing it aloud made his heart pound. I just think about things," he admitted. "Small wishes. Maybe things I will never act on." Lyria's gaze softened. "Wishes are not always small, Ethan. Some are important, even if they are silent." He looked at her, surprised. Could she be speaking of his private wish? He had never told anyone, never dared to voice it. And yet here she was, acknowledging it without hesitation. I never imagined," Ethan began, his voice trailing off. He wanted to ask her if she understood, if she felt the same, but he feared ruining the fragile connection between them. Lyria moved closer, her silver eyes glinting under the alien starlight. "I heard your wish," she said simply. "The one you thought was impossible." Ethan froze. His private thoughts, the ones he had whispered almost silently to himself, were no longer secret. "You heard it?" he whispered. "Yes," she replied. "And I have thought about it too." Ethan's mind spun. Could it be? Was it possible that she had considered his wish as he had considered hers in quiet moments of his imagination? His heart raced with hope and disbelief. You would even consider it?" he asked cautiously. Lyria nodded. "I have been learning about your customs. Marriage, as you describe it. It is a promise of partnership and trust. I see in you honesty, courage, and kindness. These are qualities I value." Ethan felt a warmth he had never known. "I never imagined. I thought it was just a dream." "Dreams can sometimes guide reality," Lyria said softly, smiling. "I choose to see what could be, rather than what seems impossible." For a moment, silence fell. The alien moons glowed softly above them, and the stars stretched endlessly into the sky. Ethan wanted to reach out, to take her hand, but he waited, letting the moment unfold naturally. Then, with a gentle movement, Lyria extended her hand toward him. "If you still wish, Ethan." "I say yes." Ethan could hardly breathe. Her words, simple yet profound, felt like sunlight breaking through a long, cold night. "Yes?" he asked, as if confirming he had heard correctly. "Yes," Lyria repeated, her gaze unwavering. "I would like to explore what we could be together." Ethan stepped forward, taking her hand in his. The warmth of her skin, the subtle glow of her bioluminescence filled him with a joy he had never known. He wanted to laugh, to cry, to tell the world, but all he could do was hold her hand and feel the connection that had quietly grown between them. Over the next days, their bond deepened. They worked side by side, sharing ideas, learning from each other, and exploring the colony together. Ethan taught Lyria about human traditions, from simple meals to the meaning of shared stories and celebrations. Lyria showed him the beauty of her alien culture, the language of light, and the harmony of her people with nature. One evening, they visited the colony's central garden. Alien plants glowed softly, and small streams reflected the twin moons above. Ethan and Lyria walked together side by side, talking quietly about hopes, dreams, and the future. "I never thought this could happen," Ethan said, his voice barely above a whisper. "That a private wish, something I kept to myself, could become real." Lyria smiled, her silver eyes reflecting the lights of the garden. Sometimes the smallest thoughts are the most important. Courage is not only in grand actions, but in the willingness to feel, to hope, and to speak when the time is right. Ethan nodded, understanding. Their connection was not just luck or coincidence. It was built on respect, trust, and quiet courage. Each had seen the other not as a stranger or an alien, but as someone worthy of understanding and care. That night, as they parted ways, Ethan felt a sense of peace he had never known. The private wish that had been nothing more than a fleeting thought had blossomed into something real, something shared, and for the first time, he dared to imagine a future where he and Lyria could face the challenges of the colony and the universe together. Lyria paused at the doorway of her quarters, glancing back at him. "Good night, Ethan. Tomorrow we continue. Together." "Good night," he replied, his heart full. "Together." Ethan returned to his quarters, staring out at the alien horizon. The stars shimmered as if acknowledging the start of something new. A private wish had turned into a promise, small but shining with possibility, and in that quiet moment, Ethan realized that sometimes the universe gave more than one dared to imagine. He drifted to sleep that night with a sense of hope and wonder. The colony was alive with possibilities, and so was his heart. For the first time, he no longer felt alone. The days that followed were unlike anything Ethan had ever experienced. His quiet admiration for Lyria had grown into something real, a shared connection that transcended species, culture, and even the distance between their worlds. Now they were partners in more ways than one, learning to navigate a bond that was both exciting and delicate. The colony continued to bustle with activity. Energy nodes hummed steadily. Communication arrays relayed messages to distant planets, and alien flora lit the night with their gentle glow. Yet for Ethan, the most important moments were the ones spent with Lyria. Together, they explored the winding paths of the colony, exchanged ideas about technology and culture, and shared quiet laughter in places no one else visited. One morning, Lyria approached Ethan in the workshop, her eyes bright with curiosity. "Ethan," she said, "I wish to learn more about your traditions, the ceremonies, the ways humans show trust and partnership. It fascinates me," Ethan smiled, feeling a thrill of joy. "I'd love to show you. There's so much to share, but it's not just about the rituals. It's about understanding each other and what we value." She nodded thoughtfully. "I wish to understand, and I wish to be a part of that." They began to explore human customs together, starting with small celebrations. Ethan introduced her to meals prepared with care, the simple joy of sharing a story, and even the idea of gifts given not for wealth, but for thoughtfulness. Lyria, in turn, shared aspects of her alien culture, how light patterns could express emotions, how the forests communicated subtly through bioluminescence, and how even the smallest gestures could carry deep meaning. One evening, they sat together near a glowing stream in the central garden. Ethan watched the way the water reflected Lyria's shimmering skin and the stars above. The sight was breathtaking. He felt a sense of calm, knowing that despite differences, they had found common ground. "You know," Ethan began, hesitating for a moment, "I never thought my private wish could actually happen. I thought it was just a dream." Lyria's silver eyes met his, warm and sincere. "Dreams are sometimes the first step toward reality. Courage to feel, to hope, and to share. It brings possibilities to life." Ethan reached for her hand. The warmth and subtle glow of her skin comforted him. "I don't want this to be just a moment," he said quietly. "I want to share the future with you, in every way we can." Lyria squeezed his hand, her expression gentle but firm. "And I want that too, Ethan. We will face it together, whatever comes." Their bond deepened as they worked together to improve the colony. Repairs, upgrades, and problem-solving became exercises in teamwork. The more they collaborated, the more they trusted each other. Ethan admired Lyria's intelligence and grace, and Lyria valued Ethan's quiet courage and careful thought. Each challenge they faced only strengthened their connection. One day, a minor disagreement arose over energy allocation for the colony. A human engineer wanted more power for residential areas, while Lyria suggested prioritizing the alien research stations. Both were correct in their ways, but the tension could have caused conflict. Instead, Ethan suggested a compromise, blending human efficiency with alien innovation. Lyria considered it carefully, then smiled. "You see possibilities I do not always see," she said. "And you see the reasons behind things I overlook," Ethan replied. They laughed, the small tension evaporating. Their bond had grown beyond mere attraction. It was a partnership built on respect, understanding, and trust. As the colony prepared for a yearly festival celebrating interspecies cooperation, Ethan and Lyria found themselves planning together. The festival involved both human and alien traditions, combining music, lights, and shared meals. Ethan suggested a human-inspired tradition of exchanging symbolic tokens of trust. Lyria incorporated her own idea, using glowing patterns to represent feelings. Together, their contributions created a celebration that reflected their growing unity. On the night of the festival, the colony glowed with life. Humans and aliens mingled, laughed, and marveled at the harmony of their combined traditions. Ethan and Lyria stood together, watching as the festival unfolded. The soft hum of energy, the flicker of alien lights, and the laughter around them created a sense of peace and accomplishment. Lyria turned to Ethan. All of this, it shows what we can achieve together. Not just for us, but for everyone here. Ethan nodded, feeling pride and joy. It does. And it shows me that our connection is more than just a private wish. It's a reality we are building together. Later that evening, as the festival lights dimmed and the colony quieted, Ethan and Lyria walked through the glowing forest paths. The twin moons hung low, casting silver light across the alien trees. Small streams reflected their path, creating the illusion that they walked among stars. "I never thought I would be here," Ethan admitted, his voice soft. "With you, experiencing this, feeling this. It feels unreal sometimes." Lyria smiled, her glow brightening slightly. "Sometimes reality is more wonderful than dreams. You only need courage to take the first step." They reached a small clearing where the light from the moons illuminated a natural formation of alien crystals. Ethan stopped, turning to face her. "Lyria, I know we have faced small challenges, but I want you to know, I am committed to this, to us, to the future we can create together." Lyria's silver eyes shone with emotion. "And I am committed too, Ethan, to sharing life, learning together, and facing whatever comes." In that moment, under the alien moons and stars, their hands intertwined. They both understood that their connection had grown into something lasting. What had started as a private wish was now a shared reality. Their bond was not based on fleeting feelings or shallow attraction. It was built on respect, trust, courage, and the willingness to see the best in one another. The weeks that followed were filled with more shared experiences. They explored distant parts of the colony together, conducted experiments blending human and alien technology, and even taught each other new skills. Ethan learned to interpret subtle bioluminescent signals from Lyria's people, while Lyria learned the value of human improvisation in solving unexpected problems. One quiet night, as they sat together in the observation deck, Ethan reflected on everything that had happened. "It's strange," he said, "how a private wish, something I never thought could happen, turned into this reality. It's more than I ever imagined." Lyria leaned slightly closer. "It is the courage to hope and the willingness to share that makes it real. You took that step and I followed." Ethan smiled, feeling a sense of peace that had been absent from his life for so long. The colony, with all its wonders, suddenly felt warmer, brighter, and more alive. Not because of technology or lights, but because of the bond he shared with Lyria. Days turned into weeks, and the connection between them only grew stronger. Colony members noticed the subtle partnership between human and alien. It inspired others, humans and aliens alike, to look beyond differences and seek common ground. Their story became a quiet symbol of trust and unity, a reminder that understanding and courage could bridge even the widest gaps. Finally, one evening, standing on the observation deck under the twin moons, Ethan turned to Lyria. "I don't know what the future will hold," he said, "but I know that with you I want to face it all. Together." Lyria smiled, her glow reflecting in his eyes. "Together," she repeated. "Always." As they stood there side by side, watching the alien forests shimmer under the moonlight, Ethan realized that the private wish he had once thought impossible was now a living, breathing reality. The universe, vast and mysterious, had given him more than a dream. It had given him a partner, a friend, and something far greater than he could have imagined. The stars above seemed to shine a little brighter that night, as if celebrating with them. Ethan held Lyria's hand firmly, feeling her warmth and the quiet strength of their bond. The path ahead was unknown, full of challenges and adventures, but for the first time he felt ready. Not just for the colony, not just for life, but for the future they would create together. And in that quiet, Glowing moment, Ethan knew one thing for certain. Sometimes, the smallest thoughts whispered quietly in the heart could become the most extraordinary realities.